Welcome to Fans for Fans, where we're not experts. We don't claim to be. We're fans, and that's why we're talking to you. My name is Cole Lindsay, and I'm sitting here with Hunter Knight and Christian Pusser and Ben Melton. And for our first episode, we're just going to tell you a little bit about ourselves, and we'll get started. My name is Cole, like I said, and I work at a pest control place, and I like Alabama. I like Alabama Crimson Tide because I was always raised from my dad. He liked it when he was little, so. And then I also like the Steelers. I have many. I'm a fan of many players in the NFL, so that's kind of thing. I don't really have a favorite baseball team. I don't really watch much baseball. I do like basketball some. I like the Celtics and the Grizzlies, and I would have to say I really love mixed martial arts, but that's just something funny about me. All right, what about you, Hunter?
All right. I'm a UT Volunteers fan. Being from Tennessee, they're my favorite sport. Growing up like that. My favorite NFL team is the Titans. Same reason, being from Tennessee. From the MLB, my favorite team's the St. Louis Cardinals. You're gonna see a Braves fan here, and we hate each other during baseball season. And St. Louis and Atlanta are about the same distance from our hometown, so it's not uncommon to see us feud. I don't really have a favorite basketball team. I have favorite players. My favorite player being Stephen Curry, and I used to be a fan of the MMA, but Dana White is really he's pressed my buttons, so I don't really like to watch the UFC anymore.
That's understandable.
I mean, it's fine. I like to see a good fight every once in a while, but over to you, Pusser.
All right, my name is Christian Pusser, and like Hunter, I'm also a Tennessee Volunteer fan. I bleed orange. Living here in Tennessee all my life, it's common that to occur. I, as Hunter's already stated, am a Braves fan, proud Braves fan. They're probably my second favorite team behind Tennessee Volunteers as far as sports go. And for the NFL, Titans are probably my favorite team, but I do call the Colts and the Dolphins my favorite teams as well. But Tennessee has definitely got that top spot for me, even though they really make me angry at times. And people ask me, how can you be a Titans and a Colts fan? And I tell them, well, my father followed Peyton from Tennessee to the Colts, and he just picked up the Colts as a team. And people ask me about the Dolphins, as Cole has wrote down such. And my father grew up where a lot of the Monday Night Football games would be the Miami Dolphins and Dan Marino. And my father, he lived a very back road life, and when they could catch a football game, it would usually be the national game of the week, which would be Monday night, and it would be the Dolphins. So that's how he picked up the Dolphins. And as far as basketball, I don't follow basketball that much, but I call the Thunder my favorite team. Some will call me a bandwagon person, and to them I say I don't care because it's my life, not yours. And yeah, that's me. I like MMA also, NASCAR. I just like sports in general. Except for hockey. I've never given hockey a chance, but it's never been my thing.
Pusser is. I was just saying, Pusser is very vocal when it comes to you disagreeing with his team. He'll
Yes.
he'll
He'll defend
argue
them
with
to the
you,
last.
but he'll try to be so smart that it makes you feel stupid.
Or it'll make him look stupid.
That will occur several times. We're hoping, and it provides entertainment for all you who listen. Then, now we'll let Ben introduce himself.
This is Ben Jammin coming at you live from Henderson, Tennessee. My favorite college sports team is the Blue Mountain State Mountain Goats, but since they're not real, I gotta go with the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Hail State! Let's see, baseball, definitely Cardinals, because, yeah, the Braves suck. Just want to put that out there. Favorite football team, I gotta go with the Ravens. My mother's side of the family's from Baltimore, so I like the Ravens. Plus Joe Flacco, alumni from Delaware. They were the Blue Hens. It's a cool mascot. Let's see, basketball. I like the Pacers. I like Paul George. I like Roy Hibbert. They're a real great team, and they're the only team in the East that will be able to beat the Heat and get to the NBA Finals.
Indiana's a great state too.
Yeah, they're okay.
I would also like to say, out of all four of us, I'm the only one that watches a little bit of hockey. I'm a Predators fan when it comes to that, but I'm not no expert in that.
Yeah.
So, also would like to say, we're from the South. You're gonna hear some stuff you probably don't understand, and it's just gonna be slang from the South, and we're probably gonna have crazy Southern accents, but
Howdy, y'all.
we don't really notice it, and we're gonna say ain't. Get used to it.
And might accidentally cuss sometimes.
Accidentally.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. First topic. We're going to talk about college football or college sports in general. But first topic is be the new NCAA rule. Can one of you fill me in? I kind of know a little bit about it, but I don't know what it's all about.
I haven't gone in depth and really researched it, but from what I know, is it's really going to limit your no huddle teams such as your Oregons and Auburn, and the high intensity, the constant moving. It's going to put a strain on how quick they can play, and what it does is it makes them wait to a certain time on the play clock. I do believe it's 29 seconds have to be on the play clock before they can snap the ball, and what that is for is to allow substitutions on the defense, because they are claiming that the high intensity from these offenses are dehydrating and causing cramps and unnecessary injuries to defensive players, and so they're looking out for the safety of the players, and that's their purpose for this. So, ask y'all, what is your opinion on these rules? Should it happen to an extent, completely, the way it is drawn out? Have I explained it? Is it just stupid in your opinion?
Well, I'll take it here. I think it shouldn't happen. I mean, football's been fine as it is. I mean, I like seeing the no huddle teams versus the more traditional huddle teams. The teams that have to grind to win. If you play a team that's a no huddle offense and you're a big nose defense, you gotta have to fight for a win, and that's what I think makes football, as competitive as it is.
Right.
So I don't want to water down the competitiveness with a rule that is pretty stupid in my opinion. I mean, I see where it makes common sense that it would be less injuries, but if you really think about it, this may sound stupid, but it's I don't know how to word this without it sounding like the way it will sound, but it's kind of the defense's fault because they're not as in shape or light as the offense.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, they're not as good conditioning.
Yeah.
I like the logic behind the rule, but I disagree with it. I think it's making the sport less exciting to watch because, honestly, watching Oregon play or watching Auburn play and them having that fast offense is honestly really entertaining.
Yes.
And, I mean, that's what I want out of a football game. I don't really like watching, like, a standard offense that, like, runs down the clock to, like, 5 seconds, then calls the play and snaps it. It's sort of a bore to me. I like those high-paced offenses. But, I mean, I understand the logic behind it. I like that players need to stay safe. But I disagree with the rule.
All right, so we're going to move on to the next topic, and I'm going to say next topic is, should college athletes be paid?
I'll take this one. I have a very strong opinion about this. Of course, y'all will learn I have a very strong opinion about everything in life. But I do not believe that college athletes should be paid, and here's my reason why, and I'm sure this is a very unpopular opinion among several of college players. But majority of your players, especially the star players, your Cam Newton when he played for Auburn, your Jameis Winston, your Davion Clowney, them kind of players, the ones who they say are making so much money, or Johnny Manziel's, Arian Foster, who ate tacos at Tennessee and couldn't eat anything else apparently on scholarship. But those guys, like I said, the superstars, they're already getting their money. They're getting their money in education, and they're getting their dorm and their in the food meal plan, and getting free coaching to prepare them for a professional career in the NFL. And I don't believe that taking them and putting them on a payroll would be the right thing to do. I can understand their point, but I do not believe that they need to be paid, because I believe that their scholarship is paying them. They're getting a education for free to play football. They're getting, some great coaching, hopefully some great coaching, because that's the team they went to on scholarship to prepare themselves for the NFL. And like I said, free gear, free, free to learn life just in general.
As we know, Nike is expensive stuff, and they get a ton of that.
Yeah,
well, I mean, from the Nike teams, of course.
But if you think about it, free gear does not help you get to and from practice or to and from school or to and from visits with your family. Sometimes you need gas money. Sometimes you need money to eat. Maybe your campus doesn't supply you with food. I don't know how that would not
Don't
happen.
give you enough meal plans.
Yeah, but
That's understandable.
I think I know what you're saying. I don't think college players should be paid, but I think it should be okay for a coach to give a certain amount of money to a player for like gas or I think the NCAA should make an exception to a rule that if a player needs gas money, he should be allotted a certain amount of money to be given for a month, like if he for the program, because college sports especially football makes so much money for a school.
Oh yes, definitely.
And I don't think it would be too much to spare a certain amount of money per month for athletes or whatever, for scholarship athletes. But I do agree with you on the point that they shouldn't be paid.
Some people would say that as far as the gas money, they would claim they live on campus, they can just walk to practice, and I could agree with that, but not every campus is the same size, and depending on where the dorms are located on campus, that could be an issue. And then you'll say, well, they could be bus shuttled, and yes, I agree with that. I can understand, Cole, what you're saying, and to an extent I agree with it. They could be given an allowance to, help with things, because they are putting their bodies on the line early in life for a sport that they love, and they are getting scholarships, and I believe that's enough payment, in my opinion, but they could be paid more.
All right, I want to hear Ben's opinion on this.
Yeah.
I think I'm the only one here who thinks that they actually should be paid. But there is a line that needs to be drawn. If you have all these colleges paying players the same amount of money, then what's the motivation to go to a small school like Arkansas State over Alabama?
Right.
Like, if you have like the top 120 or top 60 teams in college football, what's going to make people want to go to the Division II schools and the FCS schools and the schools that are very bottom of college football?
Right.
But if you allow these lower tier schools to pay college athletes, then that will help bring in higher recruits and help them get better as a football team.
And to that, I would say, well, if you would like to speak, Hunter.
I gotta say, like, the teams that you're talking about, like our team at UT Martin, we probably have 10,000 fans at a game, and that doesn't bring in enough money to pay those players. Like, they can't really afford to pay players. Like, your MTSUs, who have 20,000 people go, they can't afford to pay every player more than like what Bama can pay, or Texas. Like, Texas is a multi-million-dollar company or college or whatever it is. They can pay players so much more. So I don't agree with it, because you're going to have Texas. They're automatically going to become more competitive because they can pay players more. So more players are going to want to go there.
I think for the smaller teams, you should always have a team that you can beat up and feel good about yourself. Like, I know it sounds stupid. No one in their right mind should agree with me, but there should be teams that lose. There should be teams like Troy. I have someone I know that goes to Troy and plays on the football team, but they're good enough to beat the teams they should beat, but they always lose to the big teams. You know what I mean? Like, there's teams that they should always lose to the big teams, no matter what.
Every team needs a sparring partner to get better, I guess, and like what Hunter said, it's a great point. Texas, Alabama, Oregon, Florida, Tennessee, Ohio State, big colleges will obviously be able to pay more than
And all of those colleges have been in trouble with recruiting violations for paying players already.
exactly. But
That's why I'm saying don't allow these big colleges to pay your players. If you have these small schools pay these big recruits, these big number one overall recruits, and they come to school there, they're going to bring media, and that's going to bring in people, and that's going to bring in money. That's going to make more revenue, more fans, and you're going to have a better team and more money in your pocket.
I understand what you're saying, but it's just not like physically possible. Their football team doesn't make enough money for them to pay them.
I understand
Well, I mean,
that
if they did bring in high recruits, they would start making more money putting fans in the seats. Once they start winning, I mean, winning is what put fans in the seats.
right.
See, I do agree with that, but there's also another side to this. Like, what about all these recruits who aren't going to be able to go pro? Like, you have, 126 college football teams, Division I teams?
It's more than that.
They just
Yeah.
added. I think it's 131 now. But
Okay,
don't quote me on
131
that.
college football teams?
Yes, it's a 1,000. Might as well be.
Okay, so you have one kicker per team. You have, 32 NFL teams?
Yes.
A lot of those kickers are going to be out of a job, and that's just kickers.
And to that, I would say, well, they should be able to recognize going in that, as a kicker, especially at a school where you're not going to get much viewage from scouts from the NFL, that you should already have in line a plan for your life after college. I mean, after all, you're going to college, you're a collegiate athlete, you're a student athlete. You go to college to obviously play a sport, but you should also go to college to get an education. And while some people would say, well, some people, the only thing they have is athletic ability. And I understand that. Cordero Patterson, great, awesome person, individual, I think,
Morris Claiborne.
Rick Rogers.
yes, these individuals who are athletically gifted, but, not necessarily
Mentally
gifted. And we people recognize that, but there also needs to be a backup plan.
I would like to point out, as Puzzer said, there's student athletes. Student comes first.
Yes.
See, I agree with that, but, I mean, every athlete's dream is to go to the top professional level, isn't it?
Yes.
It is.
I mean, what's their motivation to even play at these smaller schools if they know that they're not going to be a pro?
Well, we all personally knew a guy that we went to school with who went to Tennessee State, was it, or Tennessee Tech?
Who are you talking about?
Derek.
Yeah, he went to Tennessee State.
Tennessee
Yeah,
State.
he went on scholarship to play football, and his grades got low, a little lower than he would have wanted.
He was actually a really smart guy.
Very.
He had a good GPA in college, but it wasn't as what he liked, and so he dropped his scholarship, didn't he?
Yeah.
He dropped his athletic
football scholarship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he dropped from the team and he focused on the education part of school. And as a person, you got to appreciate that because some people wouldn't. They would, their life would go down the toilet quicker than they could stop it. But he recognized that, and to that I applaud him. And I think more people should do that because if you have a player on a team senior year, he's never seen a snap as a starter. He should be able to recognize by his junior year that, hey, he needs to have a plan when he gets out of college because football is not going to be it for him. And I'm not saying that he should give up on his dream to be a football player because there's always that opportunity, but he needs to have a realistic plan afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say this about this topic because we got a little bit off topic, but you got to always have a backup plan because you could get injured. You could get career-ending injury,
Right.
and I mean, you need a backup plan. You can't just be a super athlete and then get injured to where you cannot compete anymore. And then what are you going to do?
Exactly. Ending on this topic, if we did pay college athletes, how would you want to implement it in a short little segment? How would you implement it, Ben?
I'd say it would just be a short, monthly stipend for, when they're playing and when they're practicing. Like, in the fall when they're playing games, they should get a small stipend, nothing, huge, but it should be enough that they should, be able to go out and, enjoy themselves and go home and visit with their family and friends and stuff and come back to school instead of just being stuck there in their dorm room or on the football field the entire time.
Right.
I'd say give them $200 a week, at most. I mean, if you think about it, that's $10,000 a year.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
give it $200 a week across the whole year. That's $10,000 a year. That's less than minimum wage, but they're still getting a scholarship. I mean, probably over $100,000 scholarship.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Pay them
I mean,
like
give them enough
just
to,
a
like-
small amount.
Give them enough to like gas money, get like Taco
Yeah.
Bell,
Yeah.
you know, get food and stuff, you know,
Tacos.
extra stuff.
Yeah.
Cole, how would you do it?
I think what Ben said, during the off season and stuff, when traveling is at an all time high for college students. I think that's when you'd hand out some money to the players so they can get home but I really wouldn't know how to do that because I'm not.
You're like the rest of us. You don't know how to manage money.
Yeah,
Not
that's
an,
exactly,
not an
yeah.
accountant, not a businessman.
Exactly
Because
right.
that really is the point. Like no one can knows how to actually just manage this correctly.
The way I would like consider doing it, and it may not work like I have thought in my head, but a payroll system, per se, say like each college is allotted I think 80 scholarships to have on a team. You can give out 80 scholarships and so you would do like a payroll, say $500,000 or $100,000, and your team can be built as of many players as long as you do not exceed that a payroll amount, and you can pay them on a monthly basis. I do not think they should be paid for performance because college athletics is a system where you fight your way to the top. You don't come in with a spot earned like you would say if you're Johnny Manziel going into the draft. He's going to go into a team that needs a quarterback, so his spot's kind of reserved. It's kind of his to lose at that point once he's drafted. But college, you come in, you earn a spot, and so I don't think you should get paid for performance. So I say payroll. I say everybody gets paid equally because as a team, no one's greater than the other, and I think that's a problem with the NFL pay system. But let's just head on to the next topic there.
All right, next topic is recruiting recap. Now, myself, I'm not. I like watching some recruiting, and I like getting the updates on my phone. But I don't really remember a lot of the recruiting. I know the top recruiting classes, and I love. By the way, I didn't mention this when I was talking about myself, but I'm a pro SEC guy. Like, if Alabama loses, I don't care as long as the SEC does good.
And I think we all four are.
I think all four of us are pro SEC.
Definitely
yes.
pro SEC.
Even in college basketball, I love it when I see.
But I mean, that's just part of living down here.
Yeah. So yeah, hitting on the recruiting. Give me a recap of the Vols recruiting season.
We brought in some big names. We also brought in a lot of legacy players like Dylan Bates. Is it Todd Kelly Jr.?
Yeah,
We brought in several people that like their dads had played there,
their uncles.
their uncles, somebody from their family had played there, so we expected to get them. And like Jalen Hurd, which having watched him live play against Northside was an amazing experience because he can run the ball. Like I've personally watched him play. He is a beast. If his skill set transfers to college like I expect it to, he will be a force to reckon with in the SEC for the next few years coming. I really love us getting Josh Malone too. I feel like he even makes our wide receiver class deeper, and it was already deep to begin with. We also got like Jacob Johnson, who is sort of like a dark horse like recruit. He's like, I think he played in Germany, or he came from Germany, and he only played like a couple years, but he's an athlete. I think he'll do big things for us. I think we ended up, depending on who you go to, fourth, fifth. We was in the top 5, or top 10 at least, and we pulled in several really good recruits. I think this is a class that will be what makes or breaks Butch Jones' legacy at Tennessee.
And I like you brought up Jacob Johnson, and it has actually come to my attention that it's somehow pronounced Jakob because he's German. He lived in Germany. He moved to Florida with his aunt, I do believe, and he played football. I think he'll be called Jacob because that's just obvious. It looks like Jacob. Let's call him Jacob. But Jakob, I've heard Butch Jones call him Jakob, and it's kind of cool because it's different. Jakob.
Yeah.
That's really cool. But somebody who surprised me in recruiting is Kentucky. Let's look at Kentucky. They were number 17 ranked by Rivals. They got 28 recruits. They didn't get any 5 stars, but they pulled in 10 4 stars and 17 3 stars. that is really impressive for Kentucky football.
They pulled in that one guy who many thought was a 5-star, but some
Matt
even
Elam?
ranked him as a 3-star. Was it Matt Elam?
Matt
They
Elam,
thought
yeah.
he was going to go to Bama, but he ended up going to Kentucky because he's from Kentucky. I think he's a really impressive athlete for them to pull in. Kentucky's not known for their recruiting prowess, and he's a really good get for them.
I tell you, Stoops, he's done a good job while he's been there thus far.
Yeah.
Cole, can you tell us a little bit about Bama?
Not really. I just see the names. I mean, I know about their offense. I did like that we got that transfer from FSU. I mean,
Coker?
yes, I like
That's how
seeing
you
him.
pronounce it.
Yes.
I like seeing him because as a Bama fan, you know, we always have that pound and run game and strong offensive line and all that. But I kind of want to see, you know, an elite quarterback. I know A.J. McCarron is the closest we've gotten, and I'm not ever going to count him out. I think he could do big things if he just trains really hard, you know, and puts his mind to it. But I just want to see an elite, no doubt about it. He's the number one quarterback prospect. That's what I want to see from Alabama. But number one recruit that really got my attention and it's not because he may be the best athlete. Is Mississippi State recruited Zach Neary, and those of you who don't know, he played for Adamsville,
yeah.
and we played Adamsville. But he's very good running back. I love the way he runs. He's a football player. He's built big like a football player. He runs just as fast, and when we played him, he caught cramps, and that's the reason we ended up beating him. But I think if he wouldn't have caught cramps, he would have ran all over us.
Me and Cole personally played against Zach Neary, and he was a big physical back. Like Cole said, he caught cramps. We beat him our junior and senior seasons of playing football, and it really was. He was really a deciding factor on why they should have beat us in both matchups. Honestly,
And they
should
did.
have beat us.
They did end up going to the state championship, right?
Yeah,
Last year,
both
right?
seasons,
Both.
all 3 seasons, right?
Dang, it's wild.
I don't remember our junior year, but for sure our senior year they went to the state championship. They did get beat, and they got beat last year when he played last year too.
Yeah. But what do you know anything about?
I don't really know that much about the recruits. I know that we basically do all in-state recruiting. Like almost all of our recruits are from Mississippi. We have the only other major like pipeline state we have is Louisiana, and we get a few recruits from like Tennessee and Alabama. Like Zach Neary, he's from Tennessee. We got him, but I think we had a good class this year. We had a bunch of 3-stars. We had like 10 4-star recruits, which I thought was really good. We got a 4-star quarterback. So with the 2 quarterbacks we got right now, I think that we're gonna have good quarterbacks for several more years.
I really like Dak Prescott. He's very good. I like him. He's very big, and I like how he commands the leadership on the field. Because you know when that bowl game that y'all had when he
Against Rice.
Yeah. The team was struggling, and when he stepped on the field, the leadership just picked up. Everyone just followed him, and he I like his. Yeah, he's got a good future. And, I want to ask Pusser. Can you tell me about LSU's recruiting class? I really don't like LSU. They're probably my least favorite SEC team.
Who does like LSU?
But I have to know about it.
Teague.
I know they got Leonard Leonardo Fournette. He's
Leonard
like he
Fournette.
was the top.
He was the number 1 running back, and he was the number 2 overall recruit, I think.
Yeah,
I heard about that.
he appears to be a beast.
He is a hawk.
They say he's the next Adrian Peterson.
That's what I heard.
That's what I've heard,
I got
yeah.
a friend that is an LSU fan, and he's always talking about it. But usually I tune him out because I don't like listening to LSU fans, even though I have some in my family.
But still, I don't really understand why all these really high-rated running backs want to go to LSU because they have so many good running back recruits.
They've got a
They're-
really
yeah.
good track team.
Excellent track team. I think it's one of the best in the nation, if not the best.
It is one of the top track teams in the nation, but why would you want to be buried under recruits that were just as high as you from previous like 1 and 2 years? I mean, you're gonna have to try and set yourself apart from them.
I think
And, I mean, that's gonna help you in the NFL draft.
I think the people who recruited them, kind of sold them the notion that to be the starter at LSU, you have to compete. You have to beat out good running backs, and if you do, it's going to look a whole lot better.
To be the best, you got to beat the best.
Yeah, basically that's what they were saying.
Yeah, I mean that
Ric
makes
Flair
sense.
on that one right there.
We're gonna move on to our next topic, which
Well, actually, I like to just speaking on recruiting. Let's look at some recruiting names right here. I just want to throw some out to y'all and see if y'all have heard of these guys. These are real names. I like to clarify,
Oh, God.
real names,
Yes.
and you can look them up if you want to. This is from the recent recruiting class, which is the 2014 recruiting class. Just going off a list here, defensive tackle Poona Ford. That is spelled Poona. Poona Ford. That is very, very interesting, but it gets better. Cornerback for Western Kentucky. His first name is Wonderful. Last name Terry. His name is Wonderful Terry.
wonderful Terry.
There is a cornerback for Missouri. Finis Stribling the Fourth. These, like I say, are real. A safety for West Virginia, Dawan Funderburk.
Funderburg, dog.
Yes, that
That's got to be.
these
I don't
these
know,
are
man.
real
It's-
names, and
Is that Lion
Is that
King
German?
Conway?
yes, I couldn't
Oh,
find
yeah.
him, but apparently that one's also real. A defensive end for Eastern Michigan named Lion King Conway.
His name is Lion King.
Lion King
That
Conway.
may be just a nickname.
That could be a nickname. I couldn't personally find him, but I didn't search thoroughly because it wasn't that important to me. There's a tight end for Indiana. His first name is Jordan. His last name is Fuchs, and most would pronounce that as the F word in our language.
I bet it's Fouché.
I bet it's Fuchs.
It's probably Fuchs. It's probably Jordan.
I
Johnson.
mean, if you really want to hear me pronounce it,
I mean,
I can.
let's not go there.
Let's not. I don't want to.
All
We
right.
don't want to bleep anything out.
All right, yeah. Next topic.
All right,
let's
next
continue.
topic is what would it take for Saban to be fired? I know Pusser is just biting at the bit for this.
Ooh.
Come on, man.
I have a person I talk to on a regular basis about football outside of these three wonderful guys that I get to
Oh,
work
thank
with,
you. That's really
work
nice
with
of you.
here. And he says, and after listening to his argument, it kind of makes sense. It may not be as much as people think. Saban is there to win championships. He is there to go undefeated and bring home a national championship. This year he lost to Auburn on that miraculous field goal kick return. I'm sorry, Cole. I didn't want to rub the wound there, but I'm just stating the
I mean,
fact.
yeah, you have special teams out there with big guys. You're probably going to get outran by a little guy.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
But he lost that. How many losses does Alabama have this season? Two, three, two.
Auburn and Oklahoma.
Yeah, they lost back-to-back games even, and
Especially to Oklahoma,
that was very surprising to
bad
me, as
game.
I was pulling for Alabama. I'm sorry, Vols fans who think I should die in a fire for cheering for Alabama, but SEC though. But I don't think it's as much as people think. Saban, I think if he only wins 9-10 games next year, I think that'll be something brought up because Auburn and Texas A&M are such on the uprise, and Saban may be starting to get figured out on how he runs a team, especially that defense. And his offense is I wouldn't say one-dimensional as much as I would say very heavy run. And you take away the run, and I think you take away a lot of their offense. And I think A.J. McCarron really prospered because he had so many awesome backs behind him, and he had good playmakers at receiver, and all he had to do was just get them the ball when they would stack the line, and the receivers could make plays. So I don't personally think that it would take a whole lot to get Saban fired. I think a couple of non-undefeated seasons and maybe not going to the SEC championship and winning, losing to Auburn a couple more years, losing a bowl game. I think he'll be in a hot seat. If he doesn't make it to a national championship within the next 3 years, which if you look at his recruiting classes, it's going to be hard for him to not make it. So I think that puts even more pressure with the recruiting classes he's getting. That's personally what I think.
Like you said, like you think people have figured out his defense. Well, we talked about the rule change and how they're changing it to where like fast-paced offenses. That's always been his crutch, sort of.
Yes,
like
and-
fast-paced offenses beat him. Mm-hmm. And if they change that to like take it away to some effectiveness,
Yes.
I think his defense may come back together. Like,
And Saban is a huge advocate for this new rule. He's really voiced his opinion. He's really supporting it. And so that should be thrown out there.
That being said, I'm still against the rule, but I just want to say one thing. In Alabama, people love Nick Saban. Like, they think he's the second coming of Jesus. And,
Yes.
That's
and
true.
that can either be good or bad. It can be good to a point where everyone loves him no matter if he loses or what, or it can go the other way. If you lose 3 games next season, you're out. You never really know with the fan base. It can go either way.
Yes.
And ultimately, I think, like you said, if he does lose, rivalry games, grudge matches with Auburn are big. They're big in Alabama, and also losing the teams they shouldn't lose to, like Oklahoma. There's no way in on God's green earth that Oklahoma should have won, especially the way they did. And I just I think if you have a couple of those losses, people will start to doubt Saban. And regardless of what happens, I'll still be an Alabama fan, Roll Tide. But it could happen, and I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it will. I'm not saying it won't. So
I think Nick Saban really it doesn't really matter to him if he gets fired. If he does bad and gets fired, he is the #1 college football coach in the nation. He's going to get hired at some big school. Like
NFL will call him even.
NFL will get him. I mean, he's had the #1 recruiting class the last 3 years. Okay, this guy can bring in recruits. He can change a team completely. Look what he did at Alabama. They did bad back in the early 2000s. Then they get Nick Saban. Boom, bowl games, championships, Heisman Trophy.
Was
I want to say a big
second or third year he got a national championship?
I think it was
third.
Yeah.
But I want to say a big help to Saban. I'm just gonna go because I'm a fanboy of this guy. I had a brain fart, so I just forgot his name. But it's the strength and conditioning coach for Alabama.
Oh yeah,
He is I think one of the driving forces of that team, and his main job, is strength and conditioning, but he's there for moral support. Like in the fourth quarter, he always holds the floor up, and they never put their hands down throughout the whole fourth quarter. And he is one of his jobs is to bring the coaches back. Like when they run onto the field, he'll pull them back onto the sidelines.
Right.
I just like the way he works and the way he pushes the team. I think he's a big part of their fourth quarter domination in most of their games.
His name is Scott Cochran. If it slipped your mind, that's according to Google anyway. That's his name.
What you said, Hunter, about him like being weak against the fast-paced offenses, that's part of the reason why they're saying he hired Lane Kiffin, is because Lane Kiffin is trying to install like a fast-paced offense to try and keep up with Texas A&M. I mean, no one here likes Lane Kiffin.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong. No one here likes Lane Kiffin, but I mean, he put up really good offenses at USC,
He's a hell of a recruiter too.
and he's a good recruiter. Yeah.
Let's just say Bama Hate Week is going to be strong this year.
Oh yes.
Lane Kiffin doesn't want to come to Knoxville.
He may receive death threats from several UT fans.
He will. It's not going to be us.
Okay, he will.
As far as threats, he just may receive death from UT fans at this point. I think I tolerate him as bad as good as any Tennessee fan can tolerate the man, but I don't like him. I can't stand him. You don't screw us and then leave us the next day, and that's technically what he did. Will not stand with Tennessee. And going back to the Saban thing, I don't want to get too off topic. The Saban thing, I think fans really drive the choices made as far as coaching, hires, and fires.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
And I think if Saban, he's won games, he's won championships. So people expect that from him year after year.
Yeah.
If he wins 9 games, doesn't go to an SEC championship, and loses a bowl game, fans are going to start, rising and saying, "Hey, you better start winning." And I can say this as a volunteer fan. When Tennessee this past season lost to Vanderbilt, there were several naysayers saying Butch Jones needs to be fired. He can't even beat Vanderbilt. And that is so crazy and stupid. And I was angry too because that was just a bad way for that game to end. But no, you don't let Butch Jones go after just that loss. And I know it really hurt. It really hurt me. I cried a little bit. And but fans really drive the firing and the hiring of coaches. And and Saban's had his tenure there. Boom, he's set. Boom, he set the standard of Alabama football under Nick Saban. Wins, championships, bowl games, the galore. If he falls off that, fans are going to start talking. And I personally believe that he will retire as a football coach at Alabama. But fans will really drive for him to be fired if he doesn't succeed to the level they've known him to.
I think that's ultimately what happened to Mac Brown at Texas.
Oh yeah,
I think he had set that standard too, and the fans had sort of had enough of him going 6-6.
even Philip Fulmer, that occurred to him.
Yeah, they pushed both of those guys to retire. I think the same thing will happen to Nick Saban eventually. I think that's enough for this topic. I think we've
Ran that one dry. Let's
Moving
move
on now.
Let's move on to the NFL, the big boys, the
Yes,
National
sir.
Football League.
Let's go.
All right, so our first topic is you're Houston. What do you do for the first pick of the draft?
Ooh, good choice
And
there.
and why? You go ahead, Hunter.
I'm gonna say it now. I'm a Blake Bortles fanboy. Ever since I heard about this guy, and then I started watching his games, especially him versus Louisville and him versus Temple and Baylor. I love the game versus Baylor. I love what he can do with the ball. I'm a fanboy of his, but I think they ultimately take Manziel. I think he stays in the state of Texas. Everybody else here loves Manziel. Pusser doesn't really like Manziel, but I'm a hater of Manziel. I hate Manziel.
Blasphemy.
I love how he plays. I love the entertainment value he brings to the sport. I hate the guy, and I don't know if he'll be successful at the next level, but I think the Texans take a chance. He is a superstar. He's the
Potential
next
superstar.
He's already a superstar.
Well, the question isn't who they will take. Who would you take? You said Blake Bortles.
I would take Blake Bortles. I would take Blake Bortles. I see a lot of potential in him.
Yeah,
He's the next
I agree.
Big Ben. He plays a lot like Jake Locker, even though Jake Locker has been hurt. I think he's like Jake Locker is a poor man's version of him. Like if Jake
I understand what you're saying.
if Jake Locker didn't stay hurt all the time, he would be a good quarterback, or at least a
Better.
startable quarterback.
Yeah.
Like Blake Bortles has the same amount of potential that Jake Locker has right now, and Blake Bortles can drive an offense. He can get that ball to Andre Johnson or to DeAndre Hopkins, or just hand it off to Foster or Ben Tate or whoever's running the ball for them next year.
Yeah.
I would take a chance on Blake Bortles.
But you, Pusser.
I personally, I agree. They need a quarterback. If I was Houston, I'm drafting a quarterback, and personally, who I would take, it would come down definitely between Bortles and Bridgewater. I've been on the Bridgewater bandwagon since day one. When he beat Florida in the Sugar Bowl, he solidified the person he was. I'm taking Bridgewater. I think he fits the kind of offense that Bill O'Brien will set up under the offensive coordinator. That would be slipping my name. The offensive coordinator there at Houston.
I was about to say Wade Phillips, but he's the defensive coordinator.
Well, he's actually not there anymore, and it's actually Romeo Cornell. And I think that was a poor decision by Houston to let Wade Phillips go because he had built such an awesome defense. Look at
He did.
awesome defense. So I wouldn't go defense. Definitely not first round for Houston, especially number one pick. I wouldn't even go receivers or running back because you, like Hunter said, you got Hopkins, you got Johnson. Boom, that's your receivers. You got Foster. Boom, there's your running back. You got a good tight end, Owen Daniels. Boom, there's your tight end. You need a quarterback. And it's not the guys they have on the team. So I would go, like Hunter said, Bortles. I would personally go with Bridgewater. I ultimately think that they go Manziel. I think they have to, if I'm the Texans, they have to pick a quarterback.
All right, I'm gonna go with. If I'm the Texans, hands down, Johnny Manziel. They like you both have already pointed out. They have many weapons, defense and offense. They just need some glue to put the pieces together. And Johnny Manziel, in my mind, is the perfect glue. He's the super glue. I think Johnny Manziel. If you look at Texas A&M, the little money signs that they do, it all started with Johnny. It all started with Manziel, and now he's got the whole team doing it. And some people say that they may be cocky. Well, it may very well be. I think he's very arrogant. But I think that is what makes me like him so much. Is he is so arrogant and he can back it up. He makes plays on his feet against on against really big schools that they have lost to or that they have been beaten by, or I mean that they should be not beaten. But yeah, if I was the Texans, I would hands down take Johnny Manziel.
And I can see what you're saying. He would definitely provide that superstar, that entertainment value for Houston Texans football. It'd really get everybody watching him, and he's already built a good standing there, good crowd support there in Texas, playing at A&M. So it would fit right in.
And
Instantly.
he's played his high school games and his college games and probably now pro games.
I would like to say, you know how many people just went out and bought a Tebow jersey just because of Tebow?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Manziel will probably double that amount of jerseys.
I have
Oh,
friends. I have
definitely,
friends that didn't even like college football, but they started watching it because of Johnny Manziel. And then I have friends. One of my friends is an avid Cowboys fan. He does not care about any other team other than Cowboys. But he said even if Johnny Manziel goes to the Browns, he will buy a Browns Johnny Manziel jersey.
I don't like Manziel for the person he is. I'm like Hunter. He's an awesome individual at college. I don't think he translates well to the NFL. That's why I don't take him. But yeah, I mean, if there was a jersey there with Manziel on the back, I would probably really consider buying it. I bought a Jay Cutler jersey when he went to the Broncos just because he played at Vanderbilt, and that was kind of cool to me. And I got a Vince Young jersey also. And
who's now bankrupt.
Vince Young.
rest in peace to Vince Young's financial career.
All right, let's hop over to Ben and get his opinion on who he takes.
Yes, let's do that.
If I'm the Texans, number one pick in the draft, traded to a team who needs a quarterback.
Ooh.
Tennessee,
Ooh.
Cleveland. You trade that. You trade
So you're
down.
saying
You get more assets from the future. You get their pick, and you can still get a quarterback. This is a very good quarterback class.
Yeah, he's right.
I mean, down in the middle of the late first round, you still got Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo. I know you love him now.
Oh
Plus,
man, I'm all about some Jimmy Garoppolo or however you pronounce it, but he
But-
played Eastern Illinois. That guy, boom.
But yeah, they can move down and help themselves out in the future. And a guy like that, looking back at Bill O'Brien's offense at Penn State, it wasn't really this electric, dynamic, dual threat quarterback offense. They
Yeah,
had more of a pro style,
yeah.
slow and steady offense.
Good pro style
So
offense.
a quarterback that's like Blake Bortles or Derek Carr or somebody is really going to help them a lot more than Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
I say we bring up Jimmy
Garoppolo.
Garoppolo.
Does anybody know the proper pronunciation for his last name?
I do not know it.
We'll call him Jimmy G. on
Jimmy
here.
G.
Jimmy G.
Yes.
Okay,
Jimmy G.
Like it. Love it.
I'm just coming up with this topic on the fly. I've personally seen him play. He can throw the ball hard and deep. He can
Right.
throw it on a dime.
Long, hard, and deep.
UT Martin played them. At UT Martin, I went to that game. I didn't know anything about this guy. They beat the shit out of us. It was like 50-7 at halftime. It was bad.
wow.
This guy, his receivers did a lot of the work. They beat our cornerbacks, but he made that throw perfectly every time. He did not miss a throw in that game that I can remember, like an easy throw. I mean, he may have missed some like hard throws, but he made a lot of easy throws.
Let's just name off some stats. Yes, he plays at Eastern Illinois, and that will hurt his draft stock. He doesn't play FBS football. But let's look at his numbers.
Well, I would
Especially
like to point out, Tony Romo also went to Eastern Illinois. He broke all of his records. Every one of his records that Tony Romo had set. Tony Romo is a very polarizing player. A lot of people hate him because he's not considered clutch. But Jimmy Garoppolo, he actually did better than Tony Romo in college.
He broke all Tony Romo's records, didn't he?
Yes, that's what I just said.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was.
My bad.
Ben was checking notes over there, as we are all doing.
All right,
actually.
continue with stats.
Yeah.
Let's look. I want to definitely look at his senior year, but especially his last 2 years where he really played the season. His junior season, he had 3,823 yards, 31 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, with a quarterback rating of 134. Senior year, he was a extremely proficient passer, made smart decisions, and you can see that just by stats. 4,400 yards, not 44,000, that would have been really light. 4,400 yards, almost 5,000. Almost 5,000. He had 48 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. That is amazing. Only 8 interceptions, and he played 12 games with a 170 passer rating. That is exceptional on any level, in my opinion. If you look at what Peyton Manning did this past year, his touchdown to interception ratio was the best in the league. It was amazing. And Jimmy G is, I think, a very underrated prospect and someone who can really make a team awesome. Let's look at Joe Flacco. He came from Delaware State.
Just Delaware.
Just Delaware?
University of Delaware.
My apologies, Delaware State fans or Delaware. But you don't have to necessarily come from a big college to make a big impact. I think Jimmy G can do that.
I mean, like talking about Romo. Romo came from a small college, the same college, in fact, and he's made a big impact on the Cowboys today.
Yeah. But coming from a small college, it's going to be about how he can show out against these other veteran NFL quarterbacks.
Yes.
They're going to be on that roster
once
he
you
gets
get
drafted to.
once you get closer to draft time and combine time, smaller school prospects start to show out, and you know, in senior bowls or East West Shrine games and stuff like that. So I mean, sooner or later at the combine, we'll see him perform. That's it for us tonight. We'll get back with you. This is Fans for Fans signing out.
What?